Treasurer Josh Frydenberg has all but confirmed motorists will be given relief at the petrol pump under a package of cost-of-living measures in Tuesday's federal budget. Key points. The Treasurer says inflation is expected to increase from the current level of 3.5%. The Treasurer says inflation is expected to increase from the current level of 3.5%. Mr. Frydenberg said the government would make some upgrades in our budget numbers. Mr. Frydenberg said the government would make some upgrades in our budget numbers. The budget is expected to include a one-off payment to the 4.6 million Australians on welfare and income support. In an interview with the ABC, Mr. Frydenberg indicated some measures would take effect midweek, acknowledging high oil prices were a big contributor to the cost of living, which would be a big focus of Mr. Frydenberg's fourth budget. Fuel prices have skyrocketed, and of course for many families this is not a choice, he told the ABC. They need their car to get to and from work. They get into their car to drop their kids at school. These are costs that families are incurring, and of course it's putting real pressure on their household budget. It is understood that any cut to the 44 cents a litre fuel excise would be temporary, likely lasting no more than 6 months. If the fuel excise was cut by 5 cents a litre, it would save motorists about $5 when filling a 50-litre vehicle. This would cost the federal budget about $1 billion over 6 months. Mr. Frydenberg's challenge is to alleviate Australia's higher cost of living while not putting pressure on inflation, which the Treasurer conceded would increase from the current level of 3.5%. Any cut to the 44 cents a litre fuel excise would likely last no more than 6 months. We do think inflation will even go higher than it is today, and we'll make some upgrades in our budget numbers on Tuesday night, he said. But as I say, international factors are driving the higher inflation rates. That's the higher fuel costs, obviously exacerbated by the situation in Ukraine. That's the higher food costs, and particularly wheat, that we're seeing as a result of developments in Europe. He said freight costs had also risen during the pandemic as households switched to making online purchases. Offset expected to be phased out. The budget is also expected to include a one-off payment to the 4.6 million Australians on welfare and income support. This is expected to be at least $250. The low and middle income offset, worth $1,080 and paid to about 10 million workers, is expected to be phased out. But the ABC understands those who received ELMITO last year will receive an extra payment to compensate for the higher cost of living. Our budget will be responsible. It will have practical measures. It will ease the cost of living pressures right now, as well as putting in place a long-term economic plan for the nation, Mr. Frydenberg said. In December, the mid-year budget update forecast a $99 billion deficit for 2022-23, but Mr. Frydenberg said this would be significantly lower, insisting this amounted to budget repair. We're going to see a material improvement to the budget bottom line, and we've already started to see that budget repair job in action, he said. In fact, the final budget outcome for 2020-21 was $80 billion better than what I had forecast when I delivered the budget the previous year. Why? Because more people were in jobs, fewer people were on welfare, and that boosted revenue and also saw less expenditure on welfare payments. That's the secret sauce for a strong economy.